Exactly. I just want to, what could it be?
So exciting. Can hardly wait.
I'll be pacing the house later, wondering.
Right.
Are we recording?
Are we set? All right.
That's right. I'm just curious what the families.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. The time is 7 o'clock, so we can get started. Thank you all for being here. Today is Thursday, January 9th, 2025. This is the village board meeting for the Village of Willow Springs, the first one of the new year. This meeting is called to order. Madam Clerk Charles, can we please call the roll?
Trustiara.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Micah.
Here.
Pash. Carr.
Here.
President Nettmeyer.
Here, that completes the roll. Thank you, Clerk Charles. We have a quorum. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you again for being here. And before we get into the business of the meeting, for those of you who are not aware, we have recently had the passing of Trustee Ernie Moon, which is very somber, sad news. And so tonight we want to acknowledge him and say some words and then partake in a moment of silence. So I will begin by saying some words about Trustee Moon. We acknowledge his passing with very heavy hearts tonight. On behalf of the Village of Willow Springs board and staff, we were very lucky to all know Ernie. He embodied what it means to be a public servant. For decades, he gave Willow Springs his time, heart, and energy. He was a village trustee, a police commissioner, a water commissioner, a park district commissioner, and a longstanding member of the Lions Club. Despite having held all of these titles, I think it is safe to say that Ernie was not particularly interested in titles. In fact, he knew service was about showing up to make a difference, and that he did. He always showed up with enthusiasm and a steadfast commitment to making things better for others. He wasn't shy about speaking up for what he believed was right, but at the same time, he was the one to quietly step in to help a neighbor or a friend in need. He gave more than he ever asked for. He did all of this with a warm smile and an open heart. And so may Ernie rest in eternal peace, and may God continue to bring comfort for all of those who are grieving his loss. He will always be remembered here in Willow Springs. He leaves behind a legacy of service and friendship that will inspire us for years to come. With that said, I would like to invite any other members of the board to share any memories or thoughts about Trustee Moon.
I would love to make a few comments about Ernie. It's going to be tough up here with him not there. I remember one time when we talked about changing the order of seating, he goes, "I don't want to leave sitting next to you." Okay, we'll leave it the way it is. He, as the mayor said, he volunteered time for everything. He couldn't say no. He was a fun volunteer to work with too. And there's a few times when he'd be whispering in my ears up here and going, "Oh, I'm going to say this," and he one of the dais, and he would listen though. So it was good. On a personal note, I first met Ernie when he first ran for mayor, and he was a good guy. And the more I got to know him, we became pretty close friends. A couple stories about him. When him and I owned houses about 5-6 miles apart down in Florida and 3/4 of a mile here. He loved to go golfing with my dad. Just totally enjoyed spending time down there. But I went down there one time and my place had flooded a little, just a couple inches. And like within 15 minutes of being down there, he's calling me. He knew. I'm assuming from Junior, but he goes, "You can use my house down there while you clean it up." I go, "Well, that's extremely nice of you, considering I live 5 miles inland and you live on the Gulf of Mexico." Yeah, but then he had the misfortune of recently with these 2 hurricanes, they destroyed his place down there. So I called him up and said, you're welcome to use my place since you offered me your place. He goes, yeah, we'll get around to it, kid. Now, we were, I think, 8 years apart, but he always called me kid. But my best story about him was when my dad passed away. The next day, he pulls up in my driveway and he says, come on out, help me carry this stuff in. He had like 10 bags from Jewel. He says, you're going to have people over here. You don't have time to shop. And he goes, and I'm going to miss losing my golf partner in Florida. So I'm going to miss the guy. He was a character in a very, very good way.
Yes, he was. Thank you for those words, trustee Carr.
One of the things that didn't get mentioned about Ernie was when I first started to meet him, and he didn't live far from me. He lived in the opposite direction of Terry from my house. And at any rate, he was part of the car show. He ran the car show for a few years, and I got involved in the car show and eventually was running it. But that's how I got to know Ernie. And my first recollection of that whole thing was Ernie was around on a bicycle, riding around, just kind of checking everything out. Well, Ernie wasn't too good on a bike and damn near crashed it. But it was kind of Ernie, it was just, Ernie was always kind of a fun guy, but he was serious about what he wanted to get accomplished. So much so that with my responsibility as finance on the board, we would have periodic conversations about how much was being spent. Is that okay? What are we doing here? So on and so forth. So I really respected his attention to looking at the details and being accountable for that and questioning whether we were always doing the right thing, because he was always trying to do the right thing. So.
I could mirror on that. Ernie always did want the right thing done. He wanted everything to be fair across the board. And he was definitely not afraid to speak up about it. I feel like I'm a better person for knowing him. He liked to rib people. He liked to get ribbed. And he's the only one that I've known that can stop a meeting with a phone call and take a phone call. That's Ernie for you.
Yeah, I could vouch for that. Ernie, I think we made him really happy the last couple of years. We always had dinner on the Vegas night for the Lions Club, and he was always complaining there was never food. Well, this year, Keith and I went out and we got food for him, so I think he's smiling right now, very happy.
Anybody else? Thank you for all of those stories and memories. And with that, at this time, we will partake in a moment of silence for trustee Ernie Moon. Okay, thank you, everybody. We will move into the business of the meeting. First up is disposition of previous minutes. We have in our board pack 2 sets of minutes from December 12th, 2024. I want to take a moment to thank Mayor Pro Tem Carr for chairing those meetings that evening and doing a great job. We have the meeting minutes first for the budget hearing. May I have a moment to approve those?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have the motion by trustee Ara, the second by trustee Kennedy. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ara,
Aye.
Kennedy. Michael. Carr.
All ayes and those minutes are approved. Next, we have the combined committee and board meeting minutes for that night. May I have a motion?
Second.
We have the motion by Kennedy, the second by Ara. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ara,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Carr.
All ayes and those minutes are approved. Thank you. We'll move to village administrator report. Administrator Grace.
No report this evening.
Okay, village clerk report. Clerk Charles.
The only thing I have to say is our food pantry is coming up again this month, which is going to be January 21st at our community center at 3:30. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Clerk Charles.
Mhm.
Reports of officials. Village attorney.
There is no report this evening.
Thank you. Village treasurer.
We just finished our year and our preliminary numbers are compiled, although a lot of things happened last year that need to be put together. So I tried to get something by the 9th, but I was a little bit more ambitious. But in general, though, our general fund had run another surplus in excess of $1 million. And we obviously paid off all our debt, and our pension liabilities went down, and so hopefully, and we have some other things to deal with later. So I think that we'll have a more detailed report next month, specifically on the numbers, but good things are out there.
Thank you for that, Treasurer Dennis. We'll move to reports of standing committees, Finance and Administration, Trustee Ara.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion to approve item 7A1, warrant 25-0-01 dated January 9th, 2025. Payroll and fund expenses totaling $491,018.93.
We have that motion by Trustee Ara. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Carr, discussion on the warrants?
Typical, I'll just give you some of the highlights here. Payroll was a little over 50% of the total. And then a couple of the larger categories of invoices, garbage and leaf disposal was almost 60,000 for the month. Health and life insurance, another routine budget cost of about 50,000. We had multiple bills related to legal fees that got closed out for the last year. That was about 20,000. We had some lift pump and sewer monitoring equipment was 16,000. And then there was also a final payment on the upfit on our newest police vehicle, and that was another 16,000. That all accounted for about another 33% of the total. So as a summary.
Any more discussion on the warrants? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ara,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah, Carr.
Aye.
All ayes, and the warrants are approved.
Yes, and the only last thing I'd like to say is that there's a birthday coming up towards the end of the month, and our mayor's going to be celebrating that. And was it 28 or 29 years old? You know, something like that.
Pretty close. Yeah. Thank you.
But that concludes my report.
Thank you, and thank you for the birthday wishes. Appreciate that very much. We'll move to Public Safety Committee. Trustee Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have no report unless the chief has something to say.
I have a couple of things. I want to thank you, Trustee Ara, for mentioning the upgrade on that police car because it's done. Good news, bad news. The good news is one of our officers, Mike Prohaska, got rear-ended on the 23rd. I'm not done yet. He got rear-ended and he's okay. He's got a little whiplash going on, but that car got driven into our other newest car. I don't know how these things happen like that, but at the end of the day, there was a 20-year-old kid who was drinking excessively at a bar in North Riverside, open container in the car. And the body cam video from Officer Rodriguez is downright scary. He was turning to go back into his vehicle when he saw the car coming, and he ducked behind it. And if he tried to get into his car, he probably would have been killed. Wow. So it's a reminder of the fact that more officers get killed in the line of duty from car crashes than they do from gunfire or any other incident that we deal with. And, you know, even here in Willow Springs, although that was Hodgkins, by the time we caught up to the aggravated speeder, these things can happen here. So good news, bad news. Good news is everybody's okay. The bad news is we probably lost one car. The other one got damaged, but you know what? That could be replaced, and Mike Prohaska can't. So I'm pleased about that. The second thing, just very quickly, year-end statistics. Our activity has gone up and up and up over the last 2.5 years. We had a 47% increase in village ordinance citations last year, 33% increase in county citations, and a 46% increase in written warnings. Our men and women are out there working, and I couldn't be more pleased with them. Morale is good, and it was a good year. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Trustee Kennedy. We'll move then to municipal buildings and grounds. Trustee Micah.
Thank you. Park and Recs will be hosting a dinner and movie on February 28th at the community center. The movie will be date night and food will be catered from Spring Forest Deli. So if you're interested, I believe we could just call the Village Hall, right? I think we're getting Eventbrite. Okay. Yeah, the tickets will be available then. So looking forward to seeing everybody there. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, Trustee Micah. Public Works Committee, Trustee Posh is not here, but Director Grantland, did you have anything to share on behalf of Public Works?
I just wanted to let you know, my 2024 annual report, I passed out to all the trustees to go over. We're going to put that online in the next couple of weeks. We talked to Ryan earlier, so it'll be available to the public. But that's all I have.
All right. Thank you for that report. We'll move to Building and Zoning Committee, Trustee Carr.
Thank you. For the month of December, we had issued 12 permits. Total construction cost was $600,439, resulting in permit fees of $12,525. For the entire year of 2024, we issued 297 permits. Construction was kind of a blazing $7,115,032.22, resulting in fees paid to the village of $107,872. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you for that. We will move now then into action items. First is consideration for a business license for Urban Grooming Barbershop doing business as Timeless Grooming at 8695 Archer in Suite 25. We do have representatives here from the business, and as a bit of a background, during the renewal process for the business licenses, we had learned that they were there under new ownership. Let them know that as such, they needed to come in before the board for their own new license, which they promptly filled out the application and did that. Thank you for that. And now they're here before us tonight. As a brief overview, it looks like operation 7 days a week and current lease with the option to renew. Did you have anything else you wanted to add? Share your name with us, please.
Alonso Gamboa. Nice
Thank
to meet
you. Thank you
everyone.
for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Nothing to add, to be honest. Free to answer any questions, but yeah.
Few questions related to, so when did you take ownership of the business?
March of 22.
When?
March?
March? So you had like 9 months without a business license.
We had gotten it in we had renewed it for 2022 with Brian Malloy. He stood working with me for a while, and it was like not necessarily a complete change of ownership. It was like he was having a hard time with bills, so I kind of helped with the lease. He was renting me the chair temporarily, and but like I basically took over like the majority of operations just because he was having a hard time. And then as time went on, the business name stood the same, and I reapplied in 23 under my own name, but we had one for 22 under Brian. But I kind of like started like switching over operations in 2022. Yeah.
I guess what I wanted to impress upon you, and I think you come to realize this, was that essentially you were, by our eyes, you were operating a business without a business license in your name. So none of the background was done, and that's a requirement for you to do business here. And I think we're a small town that really encourages people like yourself to be successful. We want you to be successful in this town, but we also need you to abide by some of those requirements.
Sure.
And I think the administration did a fine job of, once they got recognized, to bring you up to speed.
Right.
And we did not shut you down.
Right.
Okay, which we had the ability to do. So I really want you to understand how bad it could have been, because we could have assessed fines and a lot of other things. But we want to be a good partner with you, and we want you to be successful. But we also need you to abide by anything else that is required by the village
For sure.
to do business. And I think if Ernie was here, Ernie would have said something like that, because that was his forte. And, but he wants you to be successful, and we want you to be successful. So And then I noticed on your application that Saturday is your birthday. So consider this a birthday present, okay? Okay, that, I said my piece.
Thank you, trustee Ara. Any other questions from the board?
I
Anything
got a
else?
question.
Go ahead, Rick.
How much is a haircut? Good luck. I hope everything goes
No,
good.
we've been doing good.
Attest to their operation. He keeps a wonderful running shop. It's a clean operation. I use it for what little I have. And they do a good job. So good luck. It's going to work out.
Thank you. All right, hearing no further discussion, may I have a motion to approve the business license?
So moved. Second.
Motion by trustee Micah, second by trustee Carr. We had the discussion. Is there anything more? Okay, hearing nothing then, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ara,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah, Carr.
All ayes and the business license is approved. Thank you. Congratulations and good luck to you. We will move to the second action item now, which is action item to approve the purchase of a 2025 Ford F-350 from Westfield Ford in an amount not to exceed $49,500. This is a public works truck that was budgeted for this year. It's competitively priced. May I have a motion to approve this
So
purchase?
moved.
By trustee Ara, second by trustee Kennedy. Now, is there any discussion? Director Grantland, anything you'd like to add, what the truck is going to be used for?
It is replacing our 2012 F-350.
Okay.
I was looking at the description on the vehicle. Is the engine that we ordered big enough? Just a 3.6 or?
No, that's a squad car.
Oh, okay.
6.8.
Okay. Because you haul a lot of weight a lot of times.
350 is same as what we had. Kids on the salt spreader, another brine operation in the back of the.
And as I understand, this is being ordered and built. It's not something that so it will be some time before we get it, potentially spring. Okay. Very good.
The other thing is, I'll always speak the budget, but I mean, we have budgeted capital wise for this. There was, Public Works had about $90,000 in their capital budget. Part of it was this, plus the upfitting of this vehicle, plus some other stuff that Public Works is going to buy. So it's all covered. It was all budgeted for. We all knew that it was going to happen. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. We did the motion in the second, so that's the discussion. If there's nothing more, let's please do a roll call vote.
Trustee Ara,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Carr.
Aye.
All ayes, and that's approved. Thanks, everyone. We'll move to number 3, which is action to approve the purchase of 3 2025 Ford Interceptors from Westfield Ford in an amount not to exceed $138,000. This is the 3 squads that we have budgeted for this year. It comes out to $46,000 each. Again, competitively priced. And with that, I will ask for a motion to approve these purchases.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have the motion by trustee Kennedy, the second by trustee Micah. Discussion on these purchases.
I got one question. Are we gonna put all the lights or whatever packages that we need on order right away?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, these vehicles will be upfit to match the 2 that we did last year. So our fleet remains consistent and
And the changeover is now to, I mean, these 3 will make, they'll be white, so everybody will start to notice the changes in our
that's right.
police.
Once these are on the road, they'll be 5.
Yep.
I think it's a little ironic that we have 2 white cars and they both got wiped out. I'm not sure I want to go forward with this. We'll
I
get a
hope that's
couple of
not an
cans of
omen.
spray paint if we have to, but I'm not going to let Prohaska drive any of them.
Just from a budget standpoint, once again, the capital budget was allocated for this in the vicinity of about a little over $200,000, which includes the vehicles plus all the upfitting. And upfitting for these police vehicles is expensive, so it's costly.
Should put us slightly under budget for the year.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a favorable pricing.
Yep.
So that means the police department can buy more stuff.
All right, if that concludes the discussion, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Yara,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Carr.
Hi.
All ayes, and those are approved. Thank you very much. I'm going to adjust just a minute here, and instead of going to we're gonna go to the zoning map. So we're gonna take number 5 first, because 4 and 6 kind of lend coupling to discussion. So we'll take number 5. This is action to approve ordinance 2025-0-01, an ordinance approving and adopting the official zoning map for 2025. And this is a housekeeping measure. We try to update the zoning map every year or two, just to reflect the zoning changes, if any, throughout the years. And so we have that before us for consideration tonight. May I have a motion to approve it?
So moved.
I'll second.
By trustee Yara, second by trustee Kennedy. Discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Yara,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Carr.
Hi.
All ayes, and the zoning map is approved. Thank you. We will take Resolution 2025-R-01, accepting the fiscal annual audit report from GW and Associates PC. This is our 2022 audit. It's complete. It's been distributed for review. And this resolution just formally accepts it. And I will turn to Treasurer Denny's to give the highlights of this audit that we have before us.
As trustee Carr said, this is a pretty big book to kind of dig through, but just to be short, the audit report, the book has several sections. First, we have the auditor's report, which basically states that the financial statements present fairly the financial information of the village, which is a very important thing, that we're in fine shape. The next section is the management discussion analysis, which Ryan and I had compiled, which some of it's boilerplate, but I really like the first page where I have my 7 bullet points that we thought the main key issues. That really is kind of like an SEC document if you want to read about what's really happening in the village in a short basis. Next, we have our basic financial statements, and I call them top level. And they talk about the the overall statement of the village as if we were a business for the first 2. Then they have the governmental fund statements, the enterprise fund statements, which is the sewer and commuter parking. And then we have fiduciary fund statements, which are police pension and SSA. Next, we have footnotes. So if you have any questions about any particular issue of the village, there's a couple notes on most of the items there, from debt to fixed assets and the like. Then after that, we have combining and detailed financial statements. There's, because the way we're built up. And then lastly, we have supplemental information, particularly on debt and pensions. The key highlights, as the mayor had suggested, is, we ended up with a 1.1 million operating surplus. Our fund balance is over $3 million, and it's almost substantially unrestricted. We had positive variance on state administrative taxes, which are income and sales taxes, as I've been mentioning at previous meetings, and grant revenues that we had. And our expenditures, except for the grant projects, which we didn't know we were going to get that much money, we're all under budget, and everybody's kept a good rein on that. The other funds, the Village Center TIF is winding down. It's paid off all of its general obligation bonds, so it's getting done to the end. The other funds primarily are available for capital projects, as we did in this current year's budget and combined them, and the enterprise funds remain solvent. Long-term liabilities, again, a nice story, and then we'll get to the next point, but in that year, we reduced general obligation debt by $1 million. The TIF debt went down by almost another $1 million. The police pension unfunded liability went down yet another 2.5 million to 7.8 million. And we're on track to be 100% funded by 2040, prior to when the state mandate is required. And the IMRF liabilities, they're not liabilities, they're an asset, so they're overfunded. So to the tune of 500,000. So we're in great shape there. The other point I'd like to say is I do give you reports, although I didn't get the one again for 24 yet, but this report was within $100,000 what I showed in the general fund for the operation year. So that kind of shows, since we kind of started, picked up in 22, that we have the numbers are working well. So when you get those quarterly reports, they're not just things that were just, going flim flam. So other than that, I'd be open to any other questions, but this is, and we're moving right now into 23, and then we'll be done with 24. And my biggest thing is just to get caught up on all our financial reporting. to the outside, we all know internally that what we've been doing, so.
Well, I just wanted to say, because I know I've been pushing on this a little bit because I wanted to see it and I understand our obligation, but I know that there was a lot of work with Treasurer Denny's in working with the auditors to get this accomplished and move on to the next ones and get all caught up. So I appreciate all the effort and work that he put into this. But I think the residents could be happy with a statement that I pulled out of this report. This was for fiscal year 2022. And on page 15, it talks about factors bearing on village future. The village's financial achievements in 2021 and 2022 positions the village for a positive future. And I think what you're seeing, this is a report for 2022, and you could see the efforts that have been made by the village board and the people that work in the village to get to the point where we just talked about getting rid of all our debt and our obligations. And that was a far cry from where it was 8 years ago. And so I commend everybody that was involved in the leadership of Treasurer Denny's to get this stuff done and put us in that position. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Trustee Ara. Anything else to comment on the audit? Okay, then I think we need to do a motion to approve it. Do we have?
So moved.
By Trustee Ara,
Second.
second by Trustee Micah. If there's no further discussion, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ara,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah, Carr.
All ayes, and that's approved. And so I wanted these two to go hand in hand and have these two action items next to each other because we move now to 2025-0-02, approving the abatement of the property tax levied for the GO bonds for the levy years 2024 to 2030. A background on this. So as Treasurer Denny said, we look at the 2022 audit and where it put us, and now here we are today, and this ordinance before us highlights that we were able to pay off the village debt, which is a huge feat. It's a testament to the careful planning and the financial responsibility that we've been working towards. It's a huge testament to our administration and their terrific job, treasurer as well. And so with that, being able to consider this abatement for the property tax levies is a really, I think, terrific thing. With that, I will ask for a motion to approve it.
So moved.
A second.
We have the motion by Trustee Kennedy, or I'm sorry, the motion by Trustee Micah, the second by Trustee Kennedy. We had the motion by Trustee Ara, the second by Trustee Kennedy. Is there any more discussion on this? Treasurer Denny's, would you like to offer any discussion on this one?
Well, just as a brief prelude, paying off the debt was something that we authorized at the October meeting. And we talked about there's a lot of different ways to do it. And we pursued all those options. Interestingly enough, interest rates went up a bit, which made the payoff lower because we invest in securities to pay off the debt. So there's a one-page summary that we put into the document. And then basically we were able to buy the securities for the same amount that the par, which is good. And we put in an escrow account and they technically no longer will show up on our financial statements. And I think it's notable that we have $1.3 million that's freed up to be just spent without having to pay for debt. We saved $174,000, which is a really reasonable amount of money. And there's also, I think, and I got to finalize our fund balance and our debt service accounts, but any remaining amount, and I think it's about $400,000, as I put in the report, that is now can be spent by the village board since there's no more debt anymore and any other projects you want to do. So that's kind of the key summary before you got there. And the abatements get filed with the county, and then, and we filed our tax levy, there'll be no debt service levy at all this year, so.
Fantastic. Okay. If there's no further discussion, let's please take a roll call vote.
Trustee Ara,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Carr.
That ordinance is approved. Thank you for that. Those are our two finance items tonight. We will move now to number 7. And this is action to approve ordinance 2025-0-03, an ordinance amending Title 4, Chapter 16 of the Village Code for payment of minimum hourly wages and paid sick leave. And so this is one that came before our board actually a while back, but now it's being asked for us to reaffirm it. And that is being asked of us by our local school districts and park district. So the state law, as I understand, it exempts school districts and park districts from this minimum hourly wage requirement. However, the county has adopted a similar law that would include park districts as well as school districts. Our community partners here in Willow Springs have asked us if we would consider and support an ordinance that would realign and reaffirm the state's law to exempt their government bodies. And so that is what comes before us tonight. Again, it mirrors the state law. It does not really change much for Willow Springs, but it does help support our community partners. With that background, I will ask for a motion to approve ordinance 2025-0-03.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you,
Second.
trustee Micah. Second by trustee Ara. Thank you. Any discussion on this? I know Administrator Grace, you had some background on this. Is there anything that I missed?
No, you covered it very well. I did share a memo with everybody tonight that was sent over, which is what prompted this to come to the board for review. So it was up on the dais for you this evening. As President Nettermeyer said, it was a request made by Willow Springs Elementary School, Pleasantdale Elementary District, and Pleasantdale Park District looking for our support. What this does is give them that support, and then it puts it back on their elected bodies to pass any ordinances or resolutions that they would like to in order to operate. This just gives them the freedom to do so. So.
Administrator Grace. No further discussion? Okay, Clerk Charles, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ara.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Micah.
Aye.
Carr.
All ayes, and that's approved. Thank you for that. Next, we have number 8. This is action to approve an intergovernmental agreement by and between the Village of Willow Springs and the MWRD for the design, construction, operation, and maintenance of town center green infrastructure improvements in Willow Springs. So this comes to us as an IGA that is related to an MWRD grant and partnership that we have with them for an upcoming project to resurface and improve the village center here, all of the pavers, streets, sidewalks. It's going to be, I think it promises to be a very meaningful and impactful project, and it should really be a great thing. And so this IGA before us allows us to continue in that endeavor. May I have a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Second.
By trustee Kennedy, second by trustee Ara. Discussion, questions on this?
I read through this whole document. It's 23 pages long, and it has some very interesting nuances, as any other government document really will. But I think what the public really needs to understand, or would want to understand, is about, Willow Boulevard is going to be redone, the Village Circle, Market Street. And as part of this project and taking advantage of the construction effort, we're looking at doing something in front of the Village Hall and the sidewalk area. So when you talk about the enhancements, I think that's what the residents are gonna see, and it's gonna be a little disruptive for a while, but I'm looking forward to the outcome of that. I think it's really gonna look good. What's really interesting about this is they're very deliberate about the money that they're giving us. We're getting about $1 million to help do this. And we're going to be spending every bit of that same amount to do it. And it also has requirements for us for maintenance for at least 25 years. So it's a big commitment in several different ways. One is financial commitment, and the second one is just the long-term maintenance to keep it up. But I think we have a real good plan from what I've heard about making sure that long-term it's viable and it'll stick around and be something we could be proud of and make the town look nice.
I have a question. What about the timing of this whole project?
Absolutely. So Engineer Branstad each month here has been giving us kind of a status on where he's at on this. So within the last 2 weeks, he submitted the final plans. The 100% submittals is what they're referred to as with MWRD. They came back with only 3 comments. looking for clarification, nothing significant at all. So we are clear to go on their end. So we're going to be looking to put this out to bid in January for a bid opening in February. And then we'll be looking to start construction as soon as weather permits in the spring. It will be completed before our fests in July.
Okay, that's what I was after.
Yep, that is our time frame. Exactly. We will not miss that.
That if any of the residents want to get in on the current brick program, I think the Beautification Commission will try to make that happen when they partner with the rest of the village project.
Yeah, so to give you clarification on that, the bricks that are there now will be taken up, saved, and be placed back in front of the village hall with the new program, and then that'll be able to continue on without any changes.
Any more discussion on the IGA? Okay, hearing nothing. Madam Clerk Charles, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ara,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Carr.
And that's approved. That completes our action items. Thank you, everyone. Is there a need for any old business? Any new business the board wishes to consider? Public comment.
I have Mike Solo.
This complaint more or less is either for Mr. Gracie or Niedermeyer, the mayor. I live at 8701 Wolf Road. Next door to me is a building going, a new house going up, 8705. They've had some heavy equipment drive over my property, leaving ruts and stuff. I contacted the owner of the property. He lives in Justice, Andrew Majerski. Sent him a letter, no response. I even knocked on the door over there to talk to anybody that might be there. The guy says he doesn't speak very good English and doesn't understand what I'm talking about, even though I showed him pictures. And I just wanted to know if maybe the village could pull the guy's permit, building permit, until he fixes the damage on my property. That might be a good thing for not only the village, but for any other contractors that might be working in the village, different areas that really don't come out and pay attention to what their construction people are doing. And so that's what I'm asking for, is you pull his building permit until he fixes the damage on my property. I mean, he did damage to other property out there also. The property to the west, right across the street from him, it's got big ruts and holes and whatever from the heavy equipment. And then the neighbor to the south of him, his frontage has got ruts on it too. I notified him, but I don't know if he had called here or anything or did anything about it, but I just thought I'd bring it up while I'm here and I'm on camera up on top there. So, yeah, if you could do something about it, I appreciate it.
Sorry for your aggravation and your frustration with that,
Yeah.
and we will definitely look into it and be in touch with
Okay.
you. Do we have Mr., what's your name?
Mike,
Mike?
yeah,
Yeah, do we have his contact? I
Yeah.
think we do have your contact information.
right.
So we will definitely look into this and we will be in touch.
Okay,
thank
thank you very
you.
much.
Any other public comment?
No.
Okay, if there's no more public comment, we have no need for executive session. I'll move into village president report. And first thing I want to do, I did reach out to trustee Posh to let him know that we were doing some words about Ernie, and he shared with me his, and so I want to read that now because I failed to do so when we were sharing statements. So trustee Posh had this to say about trustee Ernie Moon. Ernie Bull Moon. He told me years ago that every time he walked into a factory in his cardboard box visits, he would hear, "Here comes the bull." He never did tell me if that meant the way he charged forward to get things done, or if it was because he was going to tell another Ernie story. I found with him, it could be either or both, and that's what I loved about him. It was a pleasure being your running mate on the village board for 2 terms we were together. I saw your passion and concerns for the residents, your family, and your friends. We will meet again, my friend, and I will find you because I still owe you lunch. In my heart, you will always be my sidekick on my left. Rest in peace, pal. I will miss you. Love, Trustee Posh. I did not want to forget to read that in. Thank you, Trustee Posh, for those words. In terms of other items for President's Report, the village newsletter will be hitting mailboxes later this month. So please keep an eye out for that. It has notifications about all of our upcoming events and reports from our police department, our public works department, our commissions. So lots of information in there. I want to also highlight that there will be bingo January 18th. The proceeds will go to Special Olympics. So please join if you can, Saturday, January 18th at the community center. As Clerk Charles mentioned, we do have the food pantry, and that's going to be January 21st, also at the community center. I want to mention that a office staff member of ours, Joe Bonomo, he had a birthday yesterday, so happy birthday to Joe. And Valentine's bingo will be Saturday, February 8th. Our next village board meeting is Thursday, February 13th. Until then, everybody be well, and thank you for being here tonight. I will ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
By trustee Carr,
I'll second.
second by trustee Kennedy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, oppose. This meeting is adjourned at 7:45. Thanks, everybody.